Greetings, my dear viewers. I hope this day, the 16th of February 2026, finds you in perfect peace and shape wherever it is that you're spending it, whichever way that you're spending it. Well, for me, I'm right here at my mixed farm project. Came down here on this Monday. It's a public holiday here in Kampala, Uganda, East Africa. Of course, for routine inspection, but also instruction and direction giving. So as I moved through the garden, I came across something crucial and important that I feel I need to share with us, those of us who are already in the craft, but most importantly and most especially those that are planning to just start out. What I'm going to share with you today is something that is very key in establishing yourself a coffee plantation. Specifically coffee. It's a mixed farm like I mentioned, but specifically coffee. But it made, the knowledge and the tip or the wisdom that I'm going to share is something that could even cut across even with other crops and in other areas of agriculture. But well, let's take a look at this one. So right here where we are standing in my new coffee establishment or expansion, because in the far distance, if the camera can show you right there, we have our old coffee plantation in that direction. So we decided around Independence Day, Uganda's Independence Day last year, that was around 10th October, to establish the new plantation. So we came right here. Of course, we had already dug the holes and all that. And then we put this expansion or this new coffee garden in place. But then, the tip which I want to share with you, this is where it comes into play. I must have mentioned something to do with, in one of my previous videos, I must have mentioned something to do with making sure, as one of the first and most crucial steps when you're starting out in a project like this one, to make sure that you get your plantlets or your seedlings from the right dealer or from the right supplier. Because trees, coffee trees, for you to really get to understand if you don't really have that much experience in the craft, because there are people who have much experience in the craft that can be able to identify these by the way the leaves look like at a very early stage in the growth and development of these crops. But then if you're not so much as experienced in being able to just look and identify, just like myself, then this one is going to be very important for you. That it is very, very important that you get your plantlets from the right supplier, someone who is honest, someone who is genuine about that which they are providing you with, that they have actually tested and proven it in their old mother garden. I wouldn't recommend now, from my experience today, or what I'm sharing with us today, I wouldn't recommend that you just go buy plantlets from a place where there is no mother garden. A mother garden is where you're supposed to see how a matured tree of the same plantlets that you're taking would look like, okay? So let's take a look at what I'm talking about. I bought my own plantlets from one of those roadside nursery bed operators, and they assured me that they had provided me with the right seedling. In fact, even on their signpost, they have CWDR, which is the recommended variety or category to plant here because of its maturation period and its resistance to coffee weed disease. But then, having planted them around the 9th of October last year, 2025, which means around where we are now, that's about 3-4 months down the road, what I am seeing in the garden now is not really pleasant, okay? Because now, look at how this, now this is supposed to be a coffee plant, how this coffee plant looks like. We have been in a very hot period. We tried to mulch. We have been irrigating, zone irrigation and mulching. We have applied organic fertilizer, if you can see that in the video, because from our animals. We have applied urine, we have applied the dung. But then again, when you look at how the plants look like, really there is something that is not right about the what? About the kind of plantlet that we must have planted. Because one would have thought that maybe it is the what? It is the soil, okay? But then this same garden, we have been growing quite a number of things. This is where even our old plantation is, and when we go, we shall cross over down there to the old plantation, the mature trees. You will see that the story is different. So meaning, it's not so much about the land, but also if it was about the land, really, we have applied the organic fertilizer. We have also applied this industrially manufactured fertilizer. On the same, we have mulched, we have irrigated or watered, but then again, what we are seeing is really not what we should be looking at around this time at 4 months down the road from the time we planted this. So, which is why it is important. I urge you, my friends, it's very, very important. I must have mentioned it earlier, but I'll repeat it one more time because it's very crucial and it's the purpose for this video, so that I help someone who is planning to get into this craft. Mind the source of your plantlets, because it will be very painful after applying so much effort, weeding, mulching like you see here, application of fertilizer, both organic and inorganic and what have you, only to end up having or discovering maybe a year, 2 months, a year, 3 months down the road that you got the wrong seed or the wrong plantlet, like I've been calling it all throughout this video. So it's a very, very important lesson, or a very, very important area and aspect for you to pay attention to, my dear follower, my dear viewer, you who intends to get into this trade of establishing a coffee plantation or a coffee garden. I also must mention that the supplier of the plantlets for our old coffee trees is different from the one we got these ones from, and the results are different. So I think that should be able to really bring my point home for you, you who might have been doubting or who might kind of question what it is that I'm sharing with you today. My friend, mind the supplier of your seed, in this case the coffee plantlet, the coffee seedling, before you even labor to put it in the ground and take all the other necessary steps of caring for and maintaining your crop. Because again, like I mentioned, it will be very painful for you to get to 9 months, 1 year down the road, only to discover that all the 9 months effort, maybe 1 year's effort, in this case for us, it's only just 4 months, and we are seeing that there's not, something is not right about most likely the plantlets. But it is very painful for you to have spent all those resources in terms of time and agro inputs, only to discover that what you planted was not the right seed, and you have to uproot it, get a new seed, and go through the entire process all together again after 4 months, after a lengthy period of time having passed. So take note of that, my dear friends. I thought that I needed to share this with you so that you don't make the same mistake as I did. So when you look at these coffee plants, really, and I can assure you, we are very diligent at this farm in caring for these crops. My team and I really go a long way in caring for these crops. This is not how a 4 months coffee plant is supposed to look like after all the care that we have taken for these coffee plants, really. Even when we go to the other tree right here, when you look at it, this is not how a 4 months coffee plant is supposed to be looking like, really. So it means that there must have been everything wrong with the kind of seed that we put in the ground, which is why, once again, I emphasize, my dear viewers, most especially you who is planning to start out and put a coffee plantation in place just like myself, mind the seed. Again, mind the seed. I've said it over and over again, and anyway, it's the purpose for this video. Mind the seed. Look at this one. Of course, there could be other problems, but there's everything to do with the seed in my own conclusion. Because on a scale of 100, about 45 to 50% of them are gone, and I have to go buy fresh ones, the right ones this time around, and put them in the ground. But as I must have mentioned earlier, it's been 4 months of watering because we had a very strong dry spell recently. So we had to water, we had to do the zonal mulching, as you have seen how these plants look like. You can see the places clearly wed. There are no weeds that maybe the weeds could have disturbed it. We have applied both organic and inorganic manure. But at the end of the day, what we are having here is such kind of crops. A sign that the message for today should go out as a strong message to you, most especially my friend who is planning to start out an establishment like this of mine here. Now, when we cross over to our new, rather to our old and existing plantation, you can see, okay, because the new plantation where we have been is 4 months. These trees about 1 year and 2 months, okay? But when you look at how these look like, it shows you that, hey, there must be something really wrong with the other seed. Because if those trees that we have been seeing in the video look the way they look 4 months down the road, and these, their counterparts, this other side of 1 year, 2, 3 months, look like this, it's not possible that they are going to be at this stage, the same period down the road. So meaning we are going to have to uproot those and replant them and plant and replace them with new ones. Otherwise, coming to this plantation, our 1 year and maybe 1 year, 4 months coffee plantation, it looks good as you have been seeing in the previous videos. And now the good Lord has even blessed us with rain from the previously very hot weather. The good Lord has blessed us with rain. So when we look at most of these trees, some have already bore fruit, they are carrying fruit, and at the same time they have also flowered for more fruit, as of course the year goes by. But I hope you get my message for today, my dear friends. As I conclude, I'll repeat it just one more time. Repetition is the mother of all learning and mastery. For that, choose the right seed. Mind the right seed before you put or you go to the stage of planting it in the ground to later on care, only to find that you wasted. So still about the kind of seed that you plant, I'm going to show you another perfect example, this time around in our mature coffee, okay? I mentioned earlier that commonly on the market, the most recommended seed today is the coffee wilt disease resistant variety, and mainly the KR varieties, I think from 1 up to 10 when it comes to Robusta coffee, okay? Now, I also must have mentioned that at least on a scale of 1 to 100, if I didn't, now I'm mentioning it now, a scale of 1 to 100, 85 to, let me say 95% of the seed that I planted here was from a relatively genuine and honest nursery bed operator, okay? But you can see that even with that, because I remember on that particular nursery bed, the point that I mentioned earlier, there was no mother garden for me to be sure. It was just basically on trust basis. And now, where we are in this our mature coffee, which is about 1 year and coming to 4 months, 1 year of fertilizer application, both organic and inorganic, but mainly organic. 1 year of weeding, because as you can see, the garden doesn't have weed in it, thanks to the team and the effort they put in. 1 year of spraying insecticides, fungicides, and all that. And then you find yourself that you're looking at a crop such as this. This crop that you're seeing right here, from the experience I already have at this plantation, cannot go any further. Meaning, we are going to have to uproot it and replace it with a better seed. Because what it looks like, it's as if it's as though it is affected by coffee wilt disease. Yet, the variety I planted here, as per my nursery bed operator and supplier of the seed that I used here, is supposed to be part of the coffee wilt disease resistant variety. But this is already on its way to wilt. There's another one I didn't show us in an upper section of the garden, but well, we can skip that. I hope you get the point. If we move through the same plantation, there's also another one. There's another tree suffering from the same disease, okay? Suffering from the same disease. This one here. By the way, one of the ways I've discovered that you can know if that tree is sick by suffering from the coffee wilt disease resistant variety, you see the rate of growth. Because if my cameraman can show you in the near background, the surrounding, you see these trees were all planted at the same time. They received the same care, weeding, and all agro input application. But then you find that a tree like this one is growing at a very, very low and slow pace compared to the others, because now you can see the trees in the background. A good number of them have even flowered. Others have both flowered and are carrying fruit at the same time. For example, look at that tree. You can see that tree right there. It has flowered brilliantly and heavily. So this tree here has flowered so well, as you can see it right here. But at the same time, within the same vicinity, in the same garden, same everything, another one looks like this. You get the point. Now, this also is supposed to bring out the strong message of you mind the seed. The source of your seed is very, very important, because it becomes very painful, very frustrating, very heartbreaking, very devastating for you to find yourself 1 year now, like these trees are 1 year, like I mentioned, coming to 4 months later down the road of application of all sorts of resources in growing and establishing this plantation, only to find yourself having to uproot that particular crop and then replace it with another one that you're going to have to care for another 1 or so years to also reach the point of maturity and beginning to give you fruit. So the message of finding the right seed, I cannot emphasize it enough. Find the right seed from the right operators and then be able to go ahead with the rest of the processes to avoid such issues. Okay? Until next time, my dear friends, may the good Lord bless you. Cheers.